Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks. On Monday, the 22nd day of January, year of our Lord 2018, welcome to the John Moore Show. Well, it looks like I do have audio. I had no idea till just this moment if anybody could even hear me, but it looks like people can hear me. That's a good thing. We're hoping that Jimmy Ginsling will call in. If he does, I will be notified and we'll bring Jimmy on board. Last Friday's prepper tip was so important. We're going to repeat it today. In fact, Jimmy, we're going to make this the firearms tip of the day. It is so foundationally important. And here it is. First of all, if you belong to the NRA, you need to do this. If you don't, you need to join the NRA for the following reason. Membership in the NRA includes, at no extra charge, $2,500 worth of firearms insurance. Now, if you belong to the NRA, you need to activate the insurance. It's not activated until you do so online, and that's the proper tip of the day. It's a great benefit, and I think everybody should take advantage of it. Jimmy, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. How's my audio this morning?
You sound fine. Sound fine.
Good.
Jimmy Ginsling, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is the proprietor of the Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. Jimmy, our firearms tip of the week is also the prepper tip of the day. As I'm sure you know, I've been investigating crime since 1973. Firearms have always been and always will be near the top of the list, along with jewelry, for our burglars to steal, because they can turn firearms and jewelry into instant cash, can't they?
Oh yeah, that people will think about how they'll go to maybe a pawn shop or something like that. Yeah, they're always buying, but also just on the street, things come out from thefts and stuff. Another tip on that, John, and I learned this from our friend Dave. In the new age of digital cameras, digital photography, things like that, take your guns, go down to your local craft store, or even Walmart has white chalk, and you can take your firearms and everything, wipe them down real well, take the chalk stick, rub it back and forth on the serial numbers, the model number, and items like that on it, and take photographs of the serial number, the model number of the gun, and then also take photographs of the entire gun, both sides. And what you do is you take those digital photos and copy them to your computer, and then build a file on firearms and put that on a thumb drive and keep it with your important papers and stuff.
That's a good idea. Right. Go ahead, Jimmy.
The purpose of it is twofold. One, if you're involved in your house is broken into and burglars do take your guns, well, first off, you've got proof for the police report. And second off, and they just went through this amazingly enough up in Albuquerque a few weeks ago, police had all of this jewelry and TVs and guns and all kinds of stuff that they had taken in when they bust somebody and find all this stuff stored away. Well, now that the cases are all done and the bad guys are in jail or whatever, they had this big, more or less it was an open house that people that had lost stuff and everything could come in, and if they could identify it, then they could claim it again. Well, if you've got your little thumb drive and you go down there and you're looking through everything and you see a handgun that looks very reminiscent to the one that you had that was stolen, you can bring up your thumb drive on the computer, look at the serial number, match it to it, and you can get your gun back.
Okay. Jimmy, it sounds like you're some distance from your telephone microphone. Is that true or not?
We're on the road. We're driving up. We've got some test night.
Okay,
and,
all right.
Apologize for the audio. At first, it seemed like it was good.
Well, if that's best we can do, we'll just proceed as we are. All right. Well, photographing serial numbers on a firearm is difficult at best. The protocol that you outlined would certainly be inexpensive and very doable to rub the white chalk or yellow chalk, some bright color, but white would work really good against a dark blue background or black background, which is most firearms are. Obviously, if it's stainless steel, you would need a darker color. But that's the basic concept is a good one, Jimmy, and simple. And I can see where it would work very well for most people most of the time. That's excellent idea. Okay. Sometimes we talk before the show as to what we'll be talking about. Most of the time we don't. We just kind of wing it. Are you going to be going to the SHOT Show? I need to ask. Jimmy?
John, I don't know if it's on my end or if it's on your end, but you cut out there.
I was asking if you're going to be going to the SHOT Show.
I'm still on you. I'm with Mitch. Teresa and I have always wanted to go to SHOT, and it's something that is in the future. A lot of our acquaintances are going to get going.
Jimmy, we're going to have to disconnect and reconnect when you got a stronger signal, because the audio is no longer something that we can understand what you're saying. I understand you're on the road, and maybe go ahead.
I was going to say that was the same thing that we were picking up on your end there. You were cutting out back and forth there a little bit. I didn't know if it was us or if it was on the radio.
Well, I can hear you now, but as you get farther away from and closer to different cell sites, and you're picked up and dropped by different cell sites, this audio is going to come and go. Are you on the interstate highway by any chance?
Oh no, we're in downtown Roswell, New Mexico.
Okay. Well, I don't know what their situation is, but there should be a good strong signal if you're in a metropolitan area of any size. All right. Well, we'll continue then, moving forward. Something that.
This weekend we finished up the gun show in Carlsbad this weekend. Marvelous gun show. Had a lot of friends. Regular customers show back up, and of course our regulars and everything from the gun show circuit itself. And I'm not really sure what's going on out there. It could be the fact of the way the Democrats are acting in D.C. and other things. I've heard a lot of talk at the gun show, politics-wise, people discussing the memo that we all want to take a look at, releasing it, new allegations and everything against the Democrats in the last election. And I don't know what it is, if that has anything to do with it or what, but everybody at that gun show just did incredibly well, including ourselves.
Right. Well, that's good. Doing well is a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it was interesting because we literally sold out of several items. And, of course, Teresa's working on going to get everything up. By the way, John, rare time right now. Like I said, we're driving, but also, my lovely bride Teresa is with me, of course. We don't go hardly anywhere without each other. And she's listening in on the show over here. And so if any of the callers have any questions for Mrs. Desert Eagle, she's giggle out of that, they can always call in and ask her a question too, John.
Well, that's good to know. And the perspective of women is always, not always, but frequently slightly different than the perspective of men. I know, for example, my wife really doesn't like the loud noise of most firearms most of the time. She appreciates quiet firearms, if there is such a thing, which is why she really likes a crossbow, for example. So, well, ladies, if you got a question and would like a answer from a woman's perspective, give us a call at 800-313-9443.
She had a good giggle on the quiet firearms thing. When we do the gun shows and everything, people see me a lot because I'm right there in the front. I'm talking this and that and everything else. And if I'm really tied up with a customer and discussing things, Teresa will pick up and talk to someone that's patiently waiting or looking at something else, and she'll take off and run with it. And ladies, Teresa is very, very informed on 90% of the aspects of everything that we carry, and the custom builds and qualities of different guns and everything. But I always tell folks when, like they're going to be calling us back for something like that, I'll say, well, I'm me, but this is my bride, Teresa. She's the brains of the operation. So that's the way it is, really. She takes care of all the books, takes care of inventory. I'm just more or less the flunky in the middle.
You are the bullet.
What was that last comment? I missed it.
Oh, he's the voice of operation.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been an interesting gun show this weekend simply because of just the total aspects of everything. Carlsbad right now is just really hopping because all the oil companies are in that region. There are pipelines going in. There are gas lines going in. There's a couple of different companies down there that are putting miles and miles and miles and miles of fiber optic cables in and stuff. So, I mean, it was on your feet and dealing with customers all day, Saturday and Sunday. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye on your local gun shows because now, down here in the Southwest and in Texas, it never stops. But over here where we are in New Mexico, going on to the west a bit, February is more or less the official kickoff. And our show promoter, Eli, he always has at least one show, sometimes two, in January to get things started. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep track of what's going on. And also, you can go online and I'm trying to remember if the website is gunshows.com. But if you do a Google search on gun shows, you'll find there's a couple of really big websites that list every gun show for every state, every region on there. And you can go to this website, you can put in your state, or say you're going to be vacationing somewhere. You can pull up that area, and it'll give you a list of every gun show for the next 3 months, or you can look at whatever's there for the whole year. So that's always a good thing for those that are just right there where you are, John, or where they live, and anywhere else that they might be traveling. Are we there? Hello? Got 2 bars. I'll try to call back in. All right. Okay. Well, I guess John dropped off on his end there, ladies and gentlemen. So I guess we'll just kind of carry on.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back.
There he is.
We're having some technical issues this morning.
Please?
Yeah, I was cut off, and we're back. So, all right.
You sound much better now, John.
Good. Does your wife do instruction also, Jimmy?
Yeah, she does. Teresa is one of these very unique individuals that is not so unique.
Come to find out.
Yeah, come to find out. Teresa is right-handed, left-eye dominant. And
that's unusual. That's a tiny percentage of people that have that situation.
I'm beginning to wonder if it's regional, because we've had several ladies and everything at the gun shows we'll be talking. In fact, we've got a couple that we met at the gun show. Really, really sweet couple. And just all kinds of questions and everything.
Jimmy, hold on. We have a break. We have a break. We'll get back to this when we get back from the break. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 22nd of January, visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. And Teresa, Jimmy and Teresa. Okay, let's continue, Jimmy.
Okay, what I was saying is that Teresa is right-handed, left-eye dominant. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you always assume that you're right-eye dominant. And we always assumed that Teresa was the same. And it didn't really show up until we started doing rifle training. And she could hardly ever get a good cheek well. problems with the sights. Great shooter, but it was inconsistent, and it was more frustrating to her than anyone.
Right.
And
right.
Ladies and gentlemen, to find out if you're left eye or right eye dominant, extend your arms all the way in front of you and put your hands together where you form a little triangle that you can see through on your hands. Pick out an object that's very distinct, a lamp on a table, a vase, something that you can't confuse with anything else, and focus on it with your hands extended as far as you can. Close your left eye and look at it with your right eye, and if the object doesn't move, you're right eye dominant. But if you close your right eye and what you're looking at disappears, open both eyes and then look at it with the left eye and you'll see whatever it was that you were looking at.
Right. I do that test with all my pistol students, Jimmy, and I'd say it's about 10% have a dominant eye different than their dominant hand. It's not really a tiny percentage, but it's a good size percentage. 10% is about what I run into. How about yourself?
That's what I was going to say. That's why I was joking earlier, but I was wondering if it was regional, because it does not normally show up in handgun shooting, ladies and gentlemen, because your brain
it doesn't.
Sometimes will shift over, and you'll actually be sighting with your left eye, and you'll be shooting very well. When you pick up a rifle, that's when the problem becomes very evident.
Right,
and
right.
We were shooting one day. I built Teresa her own AR, and built it on a Keltec foundation. And her complete AR loaded weighs just a little over 5.5 pounds. And she was working on sighting it in and everything and getting further and further frustrated. And I thought, well, just out of curiosity, let's change sides and shoot it left-handed. And everything changed. Everything changed. All of a sudden, those groups shrank down. The only problem we were having was with trigger control, because now we had a new task to do. We had to teach the left index finger what the right index finger had learned over all those years.
Yeah, what I tell my students when they have a different dominant eye than their dominant hand, I tell them they either need to learn to shoot with a new dominant eye, change with the eye that's not dominant, or learn to shoot from the other shoulder. That's basically the two choices. Oh, okay. We lost Jimmy, and hopefully he'll be back soon. Here he's on the road and struggling to do a radio show with a cell phone on the road, which I've done that before, and it's not easy. It is not easy at all. But hopefully he'll join us back up here soon, maybe during the break. We do have a break coming up here in less than a minute. The call number is 800-313-9443. Yes. This dominant eye thing is important, and it's almost painful to watch somebody who's left eye dominant attempt to get that left eye behind the sights of a rifle when they're shooting from their right shoulder. And if you do attempt to do that, you'll get a kink in your neck pretty quick, because that's.
Oh yeah, we're back.
Oh, you're back. Okay.
Now that was a mistake on my part. We didn't lose signal. I just accidentally bumped the button.
Well, these buttons, I got a touch screen on my cell phone, and it's maddening. If I inadvertently touch it, it goes on mute, and I think people can hear me, and they can't, or I can't hear them. But the test, there's different variations to that test. The one method you described is one. The method I use is similar, but I have them pull that little triangle back towards their face to see which eye it ends up in front of. And Regardless of how you do it, you get the same result. Here's our bottom of the hour break. Call number is 800-313-9443.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our Energy Cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the Energy Cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the Energy Cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 22nd of January. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. Well, we're 22 days into the new year. Our project, last year, our project of locating and recovering images of continents with new coastlines was very successful. It will be even more successful in 2018. If you watch a television show, watch a film, and you see an image of a continent with new coastlines, get that image is screen captured to me. As a thank you, you get your choice of any of my 5 DVDs. It's a fun project. I look forward to getting this list of images double or triple what it was for 2017. Also, my website, of course, you'll find energy cleaners. If you have arthritis pain, it will most likely give you relief. If you got joint pain, same thing. Back pain, same thing there. The Energy Cleaner is only $285, shipping included. Keeping in mind, we now, as of 22 days ago, we offer a 90-day money-back guarantee on the Energy Cleaner. The mattress pads, we got the handy travel size, 12 by 24 inches, twin, full, queen, king, California king. They're all listed for sale there at my website at thelibertyman.com, where I do take PayPal. The most secure way to make any payment online, MasterCard, Visa. If you live in the U.S., PayPal now takes payments, by the way. If you need to send me a check, my address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. Toll-free our line, 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. We're taking your questions, calls, and comments. This is Firearms Monday. We're visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That website is deserteagleshooters.com. Jimmy, getting back to this dominant eye thing, I find most of my students are not even aware of the concept of dominant eye. Is that your experience as well?
Yes, sir, all the time. And Reese and I were just talking about it, and actually you brought it up in comments today, and about getting the eye off of them. And I'd ask Reese a question, and I'll let her answer it. And the question is this: transitioning from being playing all these years, being right into shooter, finding out that you're led by dominance for life, what were the biggest hindrances that you had to make the transition?
My thing with the whole situation, I did fine with the eye. The left eye, I did great with that. That turned over fine. And but my thing was getting the gun, the
that's the sport that's kind of like the joke I made at the beginning, is that we had to trigger finger for all these years.
Oh, yeah.
And when you deal with that on your end, John, how do you start that transition, getting used to everything being on the opposite side?
Well, I only teach, as far as students for pay, I only teach pistol students. So it's not really an issue for pistol students. It's very, usually it's just friends and family I do rifle instruction with. So I just take the time and work with them till we reach a something that works out for them, each individual student.
Right. The one thing that I know that did help Teresa the most on the transition to dry fire.
Oh, yeah.
Get her in there and start, rather than start in the prone position, we started off sitting and getting comfortable, getting, everything lined up, getting the sight picture, and working on the trigger pull. And like she said, it took time, but once things started clicking, it got easier. But the most difficult part was getting that
Trigger finger.
well, the trigger finger and getting that shoulder seated properly. It just feels so odd that everyone trying to do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you do find you've got this problem, and you've got some friends that are good, that are teachers, maybe do some instruction, ask them to help you, because that's where the buddy system come in. When we started working on the phone shooting with the left hand, I'd lay down beside her, and she would get her sling tightened up, she did everything correct with the phone position, get her cheek well, and then as she was shooting, I would sit there and playing right beside her, watching the finger, watching the grip on the stock and everything else. And ladies and gentlemen, if you've got an experience in shooting, it doesn't have to be an instructor. That can lay there and watch, or if you're doing the city, sit right beside you and watch, and help direct those, get that new muscle memory built up, and it'll take off and start working. So the most important thing is don't give up, because we've known of a couple of individuals that when they discovered this was their problem, it was so foreign to them to be trying to shoot that hand that they were about ready to give up on the whole thing. And be persistent with it. Don't you might you'll be discouraged a little bit, but just stick with it. Once you start using that dominant eye, you'll be a far better shooter than you ever were as a right-handed shooter.
Well, it's an issue. Yeah. It's working out the dominant eye matter is a really big issue for rifle shooters, and to a certain extent, shotgun shooters. I'm sure, especially if they're shooting slugs or anything involving optics, because shooting a shotgun is more a matter of instinct than it is sights, isn't it, Jimmy?
Oh yes, it's Teresa can actually shoot skeet really well right-handed, and to this day, because most of the time in shotgun, both eyes are open, and you're focused on your target, and you're getting into the movement of tracking and feeding. And I don't see it as often as a problem there. This young lady and her husband that we were talking about at the gun show, I love this kind of person. She had 101 questions. And, of course, I like to talk. And Teresa was right there. And years ago, she had bought a semi-automatic, her husband had bought her a semi-automatic pistol. I'm thinking it's probably she's never taken this thing out of the box. Never fired it. And wants to learn. So we're going to set up an appointment with them and bring them down to the range, and we're going to work with them. And basically, these are the perfect students because either one of them has any speak of firearms training or familiarity at all. So it'll be basically your proverbial blank slate job.
Well, that's one reason the female students frequently do better than the men because they don't have bad habits to unlearn. That's been my experience. How about you?
Oh, yeah. When I did my first aptitude, I had 40 years of bad habits I had to try to forget. And it was unique because I was very studious. I would pay attention to what we were doing, and I would apply it. And the chief instructor that eventually got me into being an instructor myself, Sam, used to laugh just, uproariously, have a good time with me because I would be going along doing great, and then all of a sudden, halfway through a string, I'd start drifting back to the old way. As he used to put it, slipping to the dark side.
Right.
And it's one of those things that you really have to be conscientious about. And with a new shooter, I'm really looking forward to these two because we're going to have the option to introduce this young lady to revolvers first. And, you know, her husband, he still likes to stick on the semi-auto, but get them familiar with the original one click and then transition over to semi-auto if they so desire. But we're really looking forward to this because Teresa and her hit it right off. And
I love it.
yeah, Teresa likes the purple. But started all off with this, you asked if Teresa instructs too. She is my female instructor. A woman will listen to a woman shooter far better than they will listen to a man. And if the man is professional in everything that he's doing, and the lady is there, they will pay very good attention. If the guy starts kidding around like he does with guys and making jokes about guns or, you know, trying to be cute, and we all do it. It's not a thing that's done to anyone. But
You will lose them.
yeah, Teresa's very quick on that. And whenever we have ladies out there, we'll introduce ourselves together and go over a few things, and then I will leave Teresa with them, and Teresa will build a rapport and answer questions, and they come up with some questions sometimes that Teresa can't answer. She'll come over, or if I'm sitting there with them, she'll direct it to me to answer. But really and truthfully, she makes each, even, and her other great aspect is young people, teenagers. The young man that we started coaching a couple of years ago who went to his going away party Saturday evening. Dennis is going to the Navy, ships out on the 30th, and he's already hoping, and his recruiter says, well, if he passes everything, he'll spotty the butts. He wants to be a SEAL. And young man's very, very sharp and natural shooter. And when we first started working, I would do some of the instruction, and then Teresa would work with it as a coach, and we would coach back and forth. And I just love the way him and Teresa interacted together, that I could turn them loose on the range and go to
it sounds like a good team you got going there, Jimmy. You and Teresa, to be able to trade responsibilities like that and present a more complete instruction package for your students out there. That's great.
She's always been my strong side. Ever since the accident started and everything, I tell folks she's the one that deserves the Congressional Medal of Honor because she put up with night sweats, she put up with all the other problems, and stepped it out. But her compassion that she had shows over to students and customers. She can relate to them, and she has the capability of listening to their problems that they're having in situations and become part of it. So, guys, if your wife is a good shooter and you've got friends and family, don't talk and stay. Get the wife in there and let them get accustomed to what you're doing as far as teaching. And let them be the go-between. Communication is the number one aspect of any teaching malady. And if you can have someone that can relate and slide right in, it's always good. Now, we're getting into one area here, John, on the drive that's very possibly going to lose the signal. So if I disappear, you'll know what happened.
Okay, well, if the signal drops, we'll carry on, Jimmy, and maybe you can reconnect later. The whole male-female dynamic is certainly something that's not addressed all that much in the gun culture, but the firearms manufacturers themselves have been doing a better job the last 20 or 25 years, haven't they? Are you there gone, Jimmy? Okay, Jimmy's gone for the time being. Maybe he can reconnect later. The call number is 800-313-9443. I was approached by a woman at the church I attend the last couple of Sundays about putting together a class for her and some of her lady friends. I've pretty much stopped doing concealed carry training here in Missouri. When the law changed the 1st of January last year, we now in Missouri can carry concealed without a concealed carry permit, and people stopped signing up for my classes, so I stopped advertising for them. There's a possibility I might start doing classes in Southern Illinois. That's all it is right now, is a possibility. It's something I've looked into previously, and it's something I need to look at again to be able to do classes over there in Southern Illinois. It's a whole different situation over there. They require 16 hours of training instead of 8 hours that we had here in Missouri, still have in Missouri. A whole different dynamic in terms of range time and what needs to be gone over. So we shall see. I have a possible place over there too, which I've used before for a range, and we shall see. That remains to be seen. If Jimmy comes back here and we can hear what he's saying, I'm going to see if he's got any updates, any legislative updates for us on the nationwide reciprocity, which I believe would be a good thing. There's some people expressing some concerns about it, but we've had a lot of horrendous situations where people are engaged in what they thought was legal activity because it was where they came from, and turned out the place they were traveling through it wasn't, or the authorities thought they had a pistol when they didn't have it. It's just nationwide reciprocity would be a big help. The Hearing Protection Act, we would like to see that passed as well. It would put suppressors, what are legally called silencers, which they aren't silencers, but they're legally called silencers, put them into the same category as routine rifle, shotguns, and pistols in terms of the legality of purchase and ownership and transfer and so forth. That would be real helpful. The suppressors have become so popular that the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms department agency is just absolutely covered up with a 6-month backlog of people waiting to get their paperwork done so they can get the transfer done on their suppressor. Just absolutely overworked, these people. There's no legitimate reason for these pieces of equipment to have any different legal status than a common rifle, shotgun, or pistol. None whatsoever. So hopefully that will change soon, and that would be good for all of us as well. I'm not sure what other firearms legislation we need to be paying attention to, other than at the federal level. Of course, at the state level, George Soros and the similar entities continue to have some limited success at the state level in various states, especially California, Illinois, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland. So it's a fairly short list. Washington State, they had a success there about 3 years ago, changing the status of some of the firearms laws. So we need to be very, very attentive to what's going on at the state level. Okay, it looks like our last break here somehow didn't happen. That happens here sometimes also at Republic Broadcasting, which reminds me we need your donations, because some of the equipment being used is no longer 100% and needs to be replaced, and it takes money to do that, of course. So if you feel moved in your heart to make a donation to Republic Broadcasting, we would certainly appreciate it. Generally, with my pistol students, if they're a novice, I always recommend that they start out with a revolver. Always, always, always. Well-meaning husbands, fathers, boyfriends frequently recommend to the woman in their life that they get a semi-automatic pistol, which I would say probably 3/4 of the time is a mistake. Could be, and maybe even a higher percentage of that. Majority of women are not familiar with either revolvers or semi-automatics. There's a sizable percentage of women who don't even have the hand strength to cycle and rack the slide on a semi-automatic pistol, which is a pretty big deal, to say the least. Most men and women have busy lives, busy schedules with their career, family obligations, various social obligations. To add one more thing, which is a lot of range time to get competent with a semi-auto pistol, is more than they can handle. It really is. And that's what I tell my students. If you're prepared to take the time, make the time to become competent with a semi-automatic pistol, then by all means do it. By all means, go for it. If not, you've got no business with a semi-automatic pistol. You should stick to what works. What works is a revolver. Simple, simple, simple. No safety to mess with. There are a few revolvers manufactured to have safeties. Almost no revolvers have safeties because they don't need them. They're inherently safe. No magazine to be separate from the pistol. A revolver in proper working order will not jam. I emphasize in proper working order. There could be a mechanical defect in a revolver. Of course, any mechanical device can have an operational issue, a defect of some sort. But for pretty much most of the 20th century, the police were using nationwide, including the FBI, were using revolvers during most of the 20th century. Towards the end of the 20th century, we started seeing a trend towards semi-automatic pistols, largely driven by media, by the way, not necessarily by any inherent advantage to a semi-automatic over a revolver. If you're good enough and practiced enough, experienced enough, there can be an advantage to semi-automatic pistol over a revolver. But it takes a lot of time, a lot of practice, a lot of experience to do that. We've got a caller on hold here. We've got Glenn in Philadelphia. Good morning, Glenn.
Don, hi. I guess
Yes,
Jimmy
sir.
is not on at the moment.
Right.
Yeah, the cell phone signals in Roswell, New Mexico, tend to get disrupted by the propulsion systems of the alien gray spacecraft, so no wonder they're in trouble.
I knew that must be it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We got to get Jimmy to seriously work on getting a decent hardwired headset with a boom mic for both home and on the road.
Yeah, well, I was struggling to hear. I don't know what was coming out on the end of the listeners, but I was losing a lot of that audio myself.
I could hear most of what he said, but he sounded like very distant, and very signals weak. But anyway, yeah, he needs a good headset, for both home and preferably hardwired for both home and away.
Yeah, a lot of cell phones no longer have a jack for a headset. Here's our break. You want to hold on?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Glenn, hold on. We got a break. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here, our second hour on Monday, the 22nd of January. Our prepper tip of the day. It's a repeat. I rarely do a repeat of a prepper tip, but it is so important. If you are an NRA member, this applies to you. If you're not, well, you should be. The following reason is, with your NRA membership, you have $2,500 insurance on your firearms at no extra charge. Now, if you're already a member, you need to keep this in mind. You need to activate the insurance in order for it to be in force. If you don't activate it, you don't have it. So that's your prepper tip of the day. If you're an NRA member, activate your insurance. If you're not an NRA member, well, become an NRA member and be sure you activate your firearms insurance. Okay, we're hoping that Jimmy Ginsling will call back. Glenn had to move on to something else, so he's not with us anymore. And the call number is 800-313-9443. This is Firearms Monday. I think I may have mentioned this already, but Thursday I had a very fortunate turn of events. I was walking across the yard. I saw an armadillo out there grazing in the yard, and I just happened to have a .22 caliber bolt-action rifle with me, and I shot it, and I killed it, which was a bit of a surprise since it was only a .22. And armadillos are hard to kill. I mean, they are really hard to kill. I was shooting subsonic ammunition, .22 caliber subsonic ammunition with a pretty good heavy projectile on it, and it did the trick. I did the first shot, and here's what armadillos do. And by the way, armadillos not in my area, but farther south in the Alabama, Mississippi region, they do carry leprosy. They're known to be a carrier of leprosy. We don't believe they do up here. Regardless, they're a harmful animal. We call them illegal aliens because 25 years ago there was no armadillos in south central Missouri. We simply did not have them. So I shot the armadillo, and what they do when they get shot, they jump straight up in the air about 3 feet, which this one did also. That's what they always do. And it hit the ground, and it was not running. And I took 2 more shots and finished it off. It looks like Glenn is back. Are you back with us, Glenn?
Yes, yes, I am done.
Okay.
Wow, unusual. Sometimes my network just, depending on what I'm doing, it seems, just completely disappears. I have to get my network back and call back in. That's an interesting story about the armadillos. I didn't realize they were, I know they're armored, so that stands to reason that they might be a little hard to kill, but the jumping 3 feet in the air is an intriguing development, that they can do that.
It is. It's pretty funny because they certainly don't look like, they got little short legs that are maybe, 5 or 6 inches long at the most, and they don't look like a critter that could jump 3 feet straight up in the air. They really don't.
Yeah, exactly. At the top of the show, you had talked about the firearms insurance associated with the NRA membership.
Right.
And I'm just curious, does that require, does each firearm have to be separately registered? Do they need photos or serial numbers or anything like that? Or
they don't require any of that. They don't require an inventory or serial numbers. Now, if you want to get more insurance up above and beyond that basic insurance that you're paying extra money for, then they will require an inventory, with a descriptive inventory, but they still don't need serial numbers. If you get if you go through $3,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 insurance on your firearms.
I've heard people, I don't know whether there's any validity to this or not, I've heard people express concerns about that because then, the inventory, some people think that, if the insurance company has the inventory information and that the government is privy to that information through the records of the insurance company, that this amounts to a de facto registration type.
Not without a subpoena, they don't. These insurance companies they're very concerned about being sued themselves, and in the absence of subpoena, they're not going to turn over anything because of their own liability would be at risk there.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Okay, very good. So, yeah, I think that should help anybody who had concerns about that. That should allay people's concerns about those issues. And also, just my understanding is that Gun Owners of America is still sort of a preferred.
When it comes to legislative matters, Gun Owners of America is far better than the NRA. GOA is a no compromise gun rights group to belong to. When it comes to training, the NRA is the top of the heap when it comes to training nationwide, certifying trainers. When it comes to various member benefits, the NRA is better than Gun Owners of America. So they both have their place. And if you're interested in promoting gun rights, you want to belong to the Gun Owners of America. I know firsthand that the NRA has a dismal record when it comes to firearms legislation, going back decades. Many decades.
Well, but they were involved with the Brady Bill. I know that because their stance on the Brady Bill was controversial. I remember that.
Well, they actually supported the Gun Control Act of 1968, the Safe Streets Act, and I know that they continue to support congressmen and senators who voted for the assault weapons ban of 1994, and high capacity magazine ban of 1994. They continue to support those individuals, which I thought was reprehensible, but they did do that. I know that firsthand.
Right, got it. And I know there's also a Jewish organization. I forget the.
That's the JPFO. Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership. The original founder of it, Aaron Zellman, I was on a first-name basis with Aaron. In fact, he had me participate on a DVD that JPFO produced, and it was a lot of fun to work with him on that. Aaron has since passed on. They have a new leader of the group, which I haven't met him and talked to him yet. But JPFO, Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, has really done some cutting-edge research. They're the ones that found out that the Gun Control Act of 1968 is little more, and I say little more, almost unchanged from the 1938 Nazi gun laws. And they got all the evidence from the Library of Congress to document that and prove that.
Wow. Well, that's fascinating and scary.
It is.
I remember hearing, I believe I've heard Aaron Zellman a number of times on various radio shows when he was live, and both he and Gun Owners of America, both of those organizations seem to be very staunch advocates of Second Amendment, and gun rights. So
well, it's the atheist anti-gun Jews are the ones that get the headlines, but there's many Jewish men and women both who are strong supporters of the Second Amendment, strong constitutionalists, and have nothing to do with the anti-gun atheist Jews.
Oh, very good to know. Very good to know. Well, if anybody understands the importance of being able to defend yourself. And the Jews look back to, the history and the ghettos of Europe and stuff like that. I would expect them to be people who greatly appreciate their civil rights and the ability to defend them.
Right. Well, along those lines, my friend John Ross, the author of Unintended Consequences, and John is truly a friend. I visit him in his home a number of times. We've shared meals together probably 24 times. His book, Unintended Consequences, is a wonderful book to understand what really happened in the Warsaw Ghetto in the 1930s, early 1940s. It's a great book, and he paid a dear price. He was under government surveillance for years as a consequence of writing that book. They even tried to get his ex-wife to become an informant on him, of all things, which she, of course, turned them down because even though they were divorced, they were still friends. So I do highly recommend the book Unintended Consequences. It's a great read.
Yeah. Funny how truth-telling can be a very dangerous business.
It can be. It can be. Absolutely.
All right, John. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for the call, Glenn. We appreciate it. Yeah. Okay. The call number is 800-313-9443. The publisher of the book is another friend of mine. This is basically a St. Louis operation. John Ross also, I assume he's still teaching concealed carry training. Typically, he does the classroom work in St. Louis. Then he has a private range that he owns over across the river in Illinois. And I don't know if he's still doing it, but he's also a machine gun collector. It's no secret. If you buy his book, and the students in his class, his concealed carry class, if you buy a copy of his book, you get to shoot a magazine of ammunition through a Thompson submachine gun. Now this is a guy who knows how to have fun. So, John Ross, he's a great guy, great gun guy, and in fact, I don't know if he's still doing it yet or not. It's been a couple of years since I talked to John, but he was having a Smith & Wesson modify some of those big 50 caliber Smith & Wesson revolvers to his specifications under his name. So, he's a great guy, great gun guy, good friend. Understanding the gun culture is important, I believe. Understanding the history of what's gone down the last 80 years is important also. Very important. It was the mid-1930s when all these laws started changing. Prior to that, you could walk into any hardware store in the country that carried Thompson submachine guns, lay down your money, and walk out the door with your Thompson submachine gun. And guys did that. A lot of guys did that. Just like buying any other rifle, shotgun, or pistol. Hollywood and newspapers made out these Thompson submachine guns to be something more than they really are. So they made them out to be some kind of weapon of mass destruction, which they're not. And the Hollywood films at the time, they did their versions of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre and things like that, where they made these submachine guns look like weapons of mass destruction. That changed everything. The Prohibition was coming to an end. They had all these treasury agents that were going to be unemployed, and the government doesn't like to do that, so they came up with this scheme to do registration and licensing of firearms, full automatic weapons, silencers, and so forth. And that continued until 1968 when everything changed again. Now, prior to 1968, you could purchase a rifle, shotgun, or pistol by mail order without having a dealer involved. And a lot of firearms change hands that way, including allegedly, and I say allegedly the rifle used to assassinate President John Kennedy. Now, I remember seeing that ad. It was Klein's Sporting Goods, I believe, a World War surplus Italian Carcano rifle, which I did own one for a number of years. I bought it for $5. I think I may have sold it for $20 or $50, maybe $50. It's not much of a rifle. I mean, it looks like a high school shop project where you get a C-. I mean, it was pretty pitiful in terms of quality and workmanship and all the rest of it. But it would put lead down range. And this rifle was sold by mail order with an inexpensive 4-power scope on it. Now, I've interviewed on this show a retired police officer who was also a sniper in Vietnam and far better marksman than Lee Harvey Oswald ever dreamed to be. In fact, Lee Harvey Oswald barely passed marksmanship in the Marine Corps. And my friend who wrote the book about his knowledge of what allegedly took place in November 1963 in Dallas, Texas, he says even an accomplished, trained sniper such as himself could not possibly do what was claimed to have been done on that fateful morning in Dallas, Texas in November 1963. But people, especially youngsters growing up, they've been led to believe that Lee Harvey Oswald, acting alone, was the sniper. Lee Harvey Oswald had nothing to do with that assassination, not even a little bit. Before he was assassinated himself, he was able to say that he was a patsy. Made that statement. Transferring that prisoner under those circumstances was just asking for trouble. Having the press present on those premises, uncontrolled, Jack Ruby being there along with the press, totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. A friend of mine had, and probably still has, original audio tapes from the Warren Commission in their possession. We talked briefly about attempting to recover those tapes and getting them transcribed, but that never happened, and I don't believe it's ever going to happen. Smoke and mirrors. That's what the Warren Commission was. I remain convinced that it was probably Cubans assassinated President Kennedy working with the CIA. President Kennedy had said he was going to smash the CIA into 1,000 pieces. And the Cubans were working closely with the CIA back then to liberate Cuba from the communists. Here's our break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. All right, we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 22nd of January. Calling numbers 800-313-9443. It's probably not all that high on President Trump's agenda to expose the truth behind the Kennedy assassination. We've had a lot of documents released recently that have been kept sequestered for more than half a century. Just in the last few months, a lot of documents released regarding the Kennedy assassination. I would love to see full disclosure of what happened that day, November 1963. I would love to see full disclosure of what happened September 11th, 2001. There needs to be full disclosure of what happened in June of 1968 with the USS Liberty. A lot of things out there. I would love to see Sheriff Arpaio brought to the White House and public attention given to the excellent investigation done by Sheriff Arpaio's posse, is what he called it, the investigative team that did the necessary research to prove. And I'm satisfied. And of course, being involved in this legal system since 1972, when I first became a paralegal, I know real evidence when I see it. And when I saw the documentation provided by his investigative team that the birth certificate released by Hussein Obama is, in fact, a computer-generated forgery, that needs to be given national and international attention. The ramifications of that, the political ramifications, legal ramifications especially, are, well, huge, to say the least. It may lead to the nullification of everything that Hussein Obama signed from the moment he entered the Oval Office to the moment he left. That's what needs to happen, quite frankly, is nullify everything the man did during those 8 years in office as being completely null and void. That's what really needs to happen. And of course, incrementally, that's what's happening the past 12 months. It was 12 months ago, Saturday, I believe, the 20th, was the 1-year anniversary of President Trump taking office. President Trump is incrementally dismantling everything Obama did, which is a lot. Even though he did play golf an awful lot, he still signed a lot of legislative things into law. So yes, that is exactly what needs to happen, is to nullify all actions of Hussein Obama while he was president of the United States. And also, there needs to be legal action against the Democratic Central Committee, who knew and still knows that Hussein Obama was not qualified to be president of the United States because he was not born in the United States and also was not a natural-born citizen from the aspect of having two American citizen parents. You have to have both. To be a natural-born citizen, two things have to be in place. One, born on American territory. Two, have two American citizen parents, which he did not have. His father, Barack Obama, his father was a Kenyan national, which at the time was part of the British Empire, which means the former president, Hussein Obama, could have a British passport if he chose to, because he's a dual national. The goal of the founding fathers was to prevent a dual national from becoming president of the United States. For the following reason: you'd have split loyalties. That's why. Split loyalties. By definition, if you're a dual national, of course you're going to have split loyalties. You can't help it. It's part of who you are. You may think you don't have dual loyalties, but it's such a foundational part of being a human being that if one of your parents is from another country, you're going to have a loyalty, however subtle, towards that country that your one parent is from. Of course you are. We've got a bottom of the hour break coming up here. If you've got a question or comment, we'll certainly entertain your question or comment here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. It'll be springtime soon. Let's see, this is the fourth week of January here. So we got February and then March, depending on where you are. It starts getting warmer in March. And time to get out there and do some training. Here's our break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 22nd of January. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. A lot of interesting things there, free downloads. There's one book that I mentioned frequently. Doesn't hurt to mention it even more frequently. The title of the book is The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. It's a book that will give you the clarity, give you the focus that you need to achieve any goal that you need to achieve, whether it's a relationship, career-related, finance-related, health-related, or any or all of the above. It's a great book, free download. The copyright's long expired. Also, my website, you'll find energy cleaners, a marvelous healing device. I use mine every night. I'm pretty active around the ranch here. I've started training this month to prepare to compete in a 100-meter dash as a 70-year-old, doing my stretching, my crunches, my push-ups. I'll be outside walking later today. I do about a 1-mile walk, and the running will kick in soon enough. Do I go to bed with minor aches and pains? Of course I do. And I wake up pain-free in the morning, ready to do that workout again. You can also, if you have yourself an energy cleaner. Only $285 shipping included to American zip codes. Yes, I do take PayPal as well as MasterCard and Visa. You can send me a check. Just get me a check in the mail. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. My toll-free hotline 24 hours a day. Here it is. 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. It's Firearms Monday. We'll take your questions, calls, and comments at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. We've got a caller on hold here. We've got Jim in Kansas. Good morning, Jim.
Have you ever gone to YouTube and typed in Dreams from My Real Father?
No, but I have the DVD by that title.
And you still think that guy from Kenya is the biological father of that guy who got to somehow be president?
Well, I didn't want to get into that, Jim, because that's just another layer of the onion being peeled back. There's some doubt about who his biological father was or is.
Look at the picture.
I know. I'm for the purposes of this argument, I was just sticking with the public record. The public record shows the biological father to be a Kenyan national, and the other guy, well, maybe he is. I don't know.
Okay, all right. I'll let you. Oh yeah, you should tell Stottmiller that they should put you and Ralph Winterroot in charge of the bumper music on these RBN programs. Some of it really sucks. Okay, I'll hang up now.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Right, I appreciate the call. Well, each host gets to pick out their own bumper music, and because I have my programs posted on YouTube, I have to use bumper music that has no copyright on it, and so it's great bumper music. It has no copyright because I have used in the past used other bumper music that did have copyright issues, and there was people complaining at YouTube. It's amazing how many people are itching for something to complain about, as if playing 30 seconds from a 50-year-old TV show, which I had several old TV theme songs, playing like Rockford Files or Magnum PI and things like that. Or one of my favorites was F Troop, the TV show F Troop from the early 1960s. When I would do an ATF update, I would play the TV theme song from the TV show F Troop, which was kind of a Western comedy. It was what can you say? It was a comedy. They made fun of the U.S. cavalry in that TV show called F Troop. Radio's fun. I've been doing radio now since 1995. Started out part-time in St. Louis with WGNU 920 on the AM dial. I did that show once a week for a number of years, I think about 5 years. Took a break there. Been with Republic Broadcasting here now. I think this is my 14th year, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a lot of fun. Now that it's a daily show, I'm able to do things I couldn't do before. Quite frankly, I've investigated enough murders to last me a lifetime. I investigated my first murder in 1973. That last homicide I investigated 5 or 6 years ago. It was a huge travesty of justice, and continues to be. We have an innocent man locked up because of an unethical, unscrupulous prosecutor out of the Attorney General's office in Missouri, and unscrupulous, unethical judge who, I don't know if they were cooperating behind the scenes, but their combined efforts led to a innocent man being convicted of murder. Different story for a different day. Every murder I ever worked, by the way, took up at least a year of my life. It's as a defense investigator, it's a lot different than a police officer or a police detective. There can be exceptions, of course, but usually the police detective is done with the homicide investigation in a few weeks to a month or two at the most, where the defense, my experience going back to 1973, typically would take up about a year of my life. And and when you're in trial, the world stops. Nothing exists except that trial during the duration of the trial. Most of those murder trials are over in 3 to 4 days, but I have seen criminal trials go on for months, and it's a marathon. It's definitely a marathon. Far different than what you see on TV and movies. Far different. It's the intensity of it is hard to describe. You've got the stakes are incredibly high. Somebody's life is on the line, literally on the line. They're either going to spend the rest of their life in prison or be executed. You're not going to find any consequences more strong than that, more important than that. Yeah. But getting back to firearms, that's what we talk about on Mondays. Firearms Monday. Training. I don't particularly care for indoor ranges. When I was living in the city, I had no choice. That was the best option to get some range time in, was to go to an indoor range. The concussion, especially if there's some heavy caliber pistols in there, can be pretty brutal. Typically, the temperature is not very comfortable. But you do what you got to do, right? To get some range time in, to gain proficiency. I like outdoor ranges. I have a very nice outdoor range I've built out here at my place. We have a 21 foot, 7-yard pistol range, and then we have a 125-yard rifle range. Rifles or shotguns, either one, with range markers at every 25 yards. I took the lids from 55-gallon steel drums, I painted them black, and I made nice, large, white numerals on them for 25, 50, 75, 100 yards. I don't have a range marker for 125, but I do have a steel plate out there at 125. Now we're looking at possibly expanding it to 200, maybe 250. I need to look at the topographical map and do some measurements to see how feasible that is, and then make a decision as to whether we can expand the range out to 200 yards or maybe 250. 300 would be great, but I'm not sure that's doable with the space that we've got. That remains to be seen also. But if we can do it, we'll do it. I do have access to a neighbor's property where we have twice set up a 1,000-yard range on his cattle pasture next to a creek. Actually, it's what they call it, the Hoozah River. That takes some doing to get permission, go through the gates, and drive over a very rough road and get down there and set up the 1,000-yard range. But it's a couple of times we've done it. It's been very, very good exercise for us. Regardless of where you need to go to get practice, you need to get practice. Now, something that might help you if you live in an urban, suburban area would be to get adult quality pellet rifles and adult quality pellet pistols. The skill sets are basically the same for using a adult quality pellet rifle or adult quality pellet pistol. In terms of holding the pistol or rifle, the sight picture, sight alignment, trigger control, breath control, those are all the same. I mean, there's no difference whatsoever. Sight picture, breath control, trigger control. Now, majority of pellet rifles do not have a very good quality trigger on them. I have limited experience with pellet rifles. The Benjamin I've got right now doesn't have a very good quality trigger on it, and I've had some issues getting this thing properly sighted in, and quite frankly, I'm about ready to send it back to the factory. Pellet pistols, I've had better success with them as far as a good quality trigger. So, if you can, test out the trigger before you make your purchase, especially on a rifle. It's critical to good accuracy to have a good trigger on a rifle. And we got a caller on hold here. We got Rick in Missouri. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning, John. So actually, that is, I was just going to mention something that I find very interesting with regard to that exact subject. My brother-in-law, who, well, he was only 2 when I met him, but now he's about 50. But when I was fresh out of the Army, obviously I was getting pretty good with the rifle right there at that point. And I taught this young man how to shoot. And I can't take much credit for what he is now, but he's gone on to become the 22 champion at Bench Rest Rifle Club. He is the they're shooting at these little tiny circles, trying to put one bullet through the next, and so it's pretty touchy at that point. But for Christmas, he gave me I've got a Marlin 17 HMR with a bull barrel, which I use essentially for getting small game and/or pest eradication. And the idea there is to be able to reach out, 100, 150 yards and hit what I'm aiming at. So he got me this laminated stock. It's got a thumb hole in the stock, one of these custom laminated stocks made for the Marlin 917. So I took off the plastic stock that came with it, and I haven't tried this yet. I'm hoping today I can, although it's pretty windy. But he said, the stock is held on with a pair of Allen screws, and he is telling me that those two Allen screws have a profound effect on whether or not you're grouping. Now, this will be a very, very odd thing because I don't even have one of those inch-pound torque wrenches, which I may have to get. So, but this will be a fascinating thing. I like the thumb hole stock. For those of you that don't know what that is, there's a back where your rear hand is, behind the receiver, there's a hole that goes straight through the middle of the stock, and your thumb goes in there. Very comfortable. Very comfortable.
Right.
But I don't suppose you have any comment regarding this, would you?
Well, in terms of torquing those screws or the stock?
Yeah. Well, either one, but since I tightened it, but I'm sure.
Well, my belief, and I'm not a gunsmith, my belief is that would those screws and the torque on them would have an effect on the harmonics of the barrel, and it's what you need is consistency, and anything that would degrade consistency would degrade your accuracy. So these competitors, they spend a lot of time focusing on what works and what doesn't work, and if they say torquing those screws properly is what you need to do, then that's what you need to do. I would get a proper tool that would allow you to torque those things to the specified torque and see if that makes a difference. You're looking at, for $20 for a little torque wrench that would do that to the proper poundage? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's. I was going to get one off Amazon. I bet that's where you're looking. I think that is what I'll do, because the whole point of this particular piece of equipment is accuracy. I don't need a 4-inch group at 100 yards. That's not what I'm looking for in this case. So, I don't mind it with a Mosin Nagant or some thing I got out of a bin at a surplus, but that's not what I want out of this rifle. So. Right. Well, okay. Thanks a million. I appreciate it. I think I'll order that torque wrench today. I bet I can get it by Wednesday.
Okay, sounds good. Appreciate the call, Rick.
All right, thanks. Sure.
Call number is 800-313-9443. The best place I've found, I don't have I probably should have an affiliation with these people, but I don't. Pyramid Air is an online place to educate yourself about adult quality air rifles and air pistols. They call air guns and airsoft both. Pyramid is spelled Pyramyd. That's Papa, Yankee, Romeo, Alpha, Mike, Yankee, Delta. Pyramid Air. And their website is pyramidair.com. They have good service, massive inventory of rifles, pistols, optics, and so forth. If you haven't looked at adult quality air rifles and adult quality air pistols for a while, you might be shocked at what's going on out there. These adult quality air rifles you can go deer hunting with them. That's how powerful they are. You can go deer hunting with an air rifle, or wild pig hunting with an air rifle. You may be shocked or surprised to learn you can do that, but you can. They have what they call pre-charged pneumatic air rifles that will hold a sufficient charge of compressed air to shoot 10 or 20 powerful shots, each one powerful enough to kill a deer. Oh yeah, it's a serious piece of equipment. These are not toys, not toys at all. Here's our break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. More here on Monday, the 22nd of January. Training. There's no substitute for good quality training. It needs to be repetitious. There's no getting around that. I was talking last Monday about shooting my BB gun as a boy. I literally, not figuratively, I literally shot tens of thousands of BBs when I was a boy through my Daisy Red Ryder. I wore that sucker out. I broke the stock off, made my own wood stock to replace it, broke off the loading gate to keep the BBs in. My dad soldered a new piece back on. It served me well. It served me well. And adult quality air rifles and adult quality air pistols are great for practice. You can practice even if you've got an apartment in the city. You can set up a safe space to shoot your adult quality air rifle or adult quality air pistol where there won't be any noise to disturb the neighbors. Having a good backstop to catch the pellets so it doesn't cause any damage to the wall of your apartment is easy to do with old carpets or what it might be, backed by some plywood. Chances are, if you get a good quality pellet trap, it's called a trap, T-R-A-P, that will catch all the pellets very safely. But you want something behind that in case you sneezed at the same moment you discharge the pellet rifle or pellet pistol, so it doesn't damage the wall. Now, these more powerful air rifles, they could go through 2 pieces of drywall and hurt somebody in the next apartment. By the way, this is serious equipment. Serious equipment. Any air rifle that you can shoot deer with or shoot wild hogs with is obviously a serious piece of equipment. But they're relatively inexpensive to shoot. You can pay a lot more for an adult quality air rifle than for a regular firearm. By the way, you can easily spend $800 or $1,000 on an adult quality air rifle. That's not hard to do at all. But for around $200 to $300, you can get something that's going to be powerful and accurate and reliable to help you achieve your goal of improving your marksmanship. And do so once you've made the initial purchase. The pellets are generally less expensive than ammunition for a firearm, generally. There can be some exceptions. So it's certainly something to consider. An adult quality air rifle, adult quality air pistol. If I start doing these classes in Illinois, I'll be getting some adult quality air pistols for part of the range training. They are that good, more than good enough to use for concealed carry training to help novices get some basic skills down and save me a little bit of money as an instructor. So I accomplished both goals there, is to save some money and get the instruction done. That's it for the day. Get your medical supplies, your energy cleaning, your essential oils now while you can. Your firearms ammunition. Never, ever give up your guns. Have a fun, safe, productive day. And God bless America.